us. We really appreciate your time. What I'll do is I will actually hide my video so that we can just concentrate on the slides that I have available before I actually hand you over to our expedition leader, who will provide you with some great information about what it's like to be on board. So thank you, first of all, to Cruise Express, a much valued trade partner. We are delighted to be here today, and my job, before I hand over to Sandrine, is to actually introduce you to Ponant. So we've been operating for 35 years. Our company started in 1988, and we are very proudly the world's leader of luxury expedition cruising. Our whole ethos is to explore the world responsibly and respectfully and follow conservation tourism. And we have a wide choice of holidays for you to consider. We invite you to explore with us and Cruise Express. Before I hand over to Sandrine, let me give you a little bit of a background. We are a luxury cruise line with 13 small ships. We explore every ocean and every continent on our beautiful planet, and we follow that ethos where nature is our guide. We purchased Paul Gauguin Cruises in 2019, and Paul Gauguin explores French Polynesia in depth, very leisurely, all year round. Let me introduce you to our luxury fleet of exceptional small vessels. With 13 small ships, Ponant has the largest and youngest fleet of luxury small ships, and they all have the Clean Ship certification, which allows us and you to practice conservation tourism. We proudly have 11 expedition purpose-built vessels with an ice-class hull that explores the polar regions. Now, when I say small, I truly mean small. Our smallest ship, which is the sailing yacht, travels with 32 guests on board. And when we're in our polar regions, we sail with a maximum of 200. But 6 of our ships, the explorers, sail with an average of just 150 people on board. So it really does give you this small ship experience. And then when you're out exploring with our expedition guides, you're in groups of 8 to 10. So again, delivering that boutique small experience. Something that we're extremely proud of is having the world's only luxury icebreaker called Le Commandant Charcot. Le Commandant Charcot was launched in 2021, and this vessel is an absolute game changer with polar expedition exploring. Le Commandant Charcot has the ability to cut through the ice flow and reach the geographical North Pole in the Arctic, and can sail into the frozen Larsen ice shelf so that you can disembark at Snow Hill Island and quietly observe the emperor penguins in Antarctica. I'd like to show you a video. I shot this video on my iPhone, so it is amateur, so please forgive me. But let me explain this to you first. You can see on the image, this is brash ice, and this is broken up pieces of icebergs. All expedition vessels with an ice class hull can very gently and slowly maneuver through brash ice. They must have the ice hull that 11 of our ships have. But only one ship can actually go through the solid frozen ice, and that's Le Commandant Charcot, the world's only luxury icebreaker. Let's have a look at the video footage as we go through the brash ice, and we now go through the frozen ice. Watch how smooth it is. You can see in the shadows how smooth it is as we travel through the frozen ice of Antarctica. We have almost 500 voyages for you to consider for your next holiday. Over 150 of these voyages feature a free solo supplement. We do attract solo travelers. but we're also a very popular choice for friends who want to travel together but simply don't want to share a room. They can enjoy the free solo supplement and have the privacy of their own room. Of course, I can't showcase each voyage to you today. Please talk to the team at Cruise Express and they'll help you plan a beautiful holiday. What I will do, though, is explain the type of cruises that are available when you book with Ponant. We have two types of luxury small ship cruising for you to enjoy. First, let's take a look at luxury yacht cruising or exploration cruising, where you will discover some of the world's most iconic locations and take advantage of our small size ships. So the photograph you can see here is Venice in the background. We're one of the few ocean-going vessels that is allowed to dock at St. Marco's Square. You will sail up the Thames and have city centre access when we sail into London. We hug the coastlines, giving you close and intimate exploration, and also allows us to maximise your time exploring ashore, as it only takes us minutes to shore rather than the longer tenders. And we often have sidewalk access, allowing you to soak up the old world charm of Europe, such as Bordeaux in this particular photograph, or up through Scandinavia, or even we disembark on the sidewalk in Milwaukee after exploring the Great Lakes of the United States and Canada. Another great benefit of small ship cruising is that we're small enough to discover unspoilt locations, like private beaches and secret coves and hidden spots, often only known to the locals and only accessible to small-sized vessels. To truly give you a private yacht experience, Ponant has an open bridge policy, which means that you can visit the bridge and learn about the technical side of cruising. And another element of this private yacht experience is often the captain will make an announcement and declare that we all jump into the ocean, whether it be the Mediterranean or the Aegean, or I've even done it halfway between Australia and New Zealand, and we're allowed to jump into the ocean right off the back of the marina. A really fun and iconic experience. So that's luxury small ship cruising, our yacht style cruising, where we are exploring some of the most iconic destinations. The second type of Ponant holiday for you to consider is a luxury expedition cruise. Each of our vessels is equipped with a fleet of Zodiacs to take you to remote and secret destinations, only accessible on an expedition. And the best person to talk to you about this is an expedition leader. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now hand over to Sandrine Irwin-Rose, who has extensive experience and will tell you about life on board when you're traveling on a luxury expedition with Ponant. So I'll stop sharing my screen now and Sandrine will add her presentation.
Thanks, Jules. So yes, as Julie mentioned, my name's Sandrine. I work with Julie and the rest of the team at the Sydney office. So that I spend most of my time working here from home, but I spend quite a few months on board as well as expedition leader, which I have to admit is the best part of my job, obviously, is when I get to go on board our beautiful ships and take our guests to some absolutely amazing destinations. So a couple of weeks ago, I just got back from the Kimberley, finished our Kimberley season, which was wonderful, and getting ready to head to the subantarctics and Antarctica again this summer, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So I will share my screen now and bring up the presentation. Just bear with me 1 second. There, oh, is that, there we go. Can we all see that? All good? Excellent. So luxury expedition, what does it actually mean? What's the luxury bit? So we can talk about luxury being our beautiful ships, obviously. They are stunning, they are comfortable, as Jules said, they have that yacht feel. You really feel that it's almost your own private yacht. But for me, what is luxury expedition is actually the remoteness. When we're on an expedition, we take our guests to places that are far away, and we really immerse them in these isolated environments, and that's what makes it so special. That for me is the luxury, is we're away from the beaten path. We most of the time we don't see anybody else, and that's what's really fun and exciting. So whether it be in the Kimberley, so this, you can see La Pérouse there in that's actually the Hunter River, and so you can see we're the only ship in there, and we spend our day exploring that region. Or whether it be in Antarctica, the white continent, and once again, this was just recently, this was last summer when we were down in the Ross Seas. So it's about that intimacy of not sharing the space with anyone else. It's which I think is luxury. So of course there's the little unexpected surprises, and this is what we love to do on board. It's a bit of fun as well, and because obviously our guests, we're out, we're in expedition mode, and out on the Zodiacs or on shore, and having these little moments, these little surprises. So for example, this was a couple of weeks ago at Montgomery Reef. We set up a surprise champagne breakfast for the guests when we came back from the Zodiac cruise. So they thought we were heading back to the ship, and we turned in and basically just pulled up on this sandbar, and they were wondering what was going on, and we disembarked them, and we had champagne and breakfast and everything waiting for them. So that's something fun. And we do something similar in Antarctica as well. We'll just pull up to an ice floe and disembark the guests onto the ice floe and serve them a glass of champagne. So you can imagine how special that is when you're out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by icebergs, and you get to enjoy a lovely glass of champagne. So we like it. We love our Ponant moments. It's something that our guests really do appreciate. They're not expecting it. It's a little surprise that we have for them. So as Julie mentioned, our ships are purpose built for expedition. So our explorer ships, so this is our fleet of the explorers. This is the La Pérouse in the Kimberley, and they're really well designed for the tropics in particular. So obviously perfect for the Kimberley, Indonesia, Melanesia, where the ship is at the moment. So you can see we've got beautiful outdoor dining. There's the pool, which is always very welcome, especially in the tropics. The balconies, and it's a really comfortable space for the guests to be while they're waiting to go onto their Zodiacs to go head out on expedition. So you can see the guests walk down the stairs, the Zodiac's waiting for them, and then we take them off. So that's really appreciated by the guests, not having to sort of wait in the hot sun sort of thing. And then we've got our LBS series, the 4 ships in that series. This is the Le Soleil, and a little bit different configuration, but perfect for the polar regions, the tropics as well, but really wonderful for the polar regions, because once again, it's about having that easy access for the guests to be able to head off on their expedition. So the other thing that I really love is the contrast that we have between that harsh environment where we're taking them, which is what's so exciting, whether it be the tropics or the poles, and then we bring them back to these beautiful ships. So they're out in minus 10, 15 degrees and looking at penguins and seals and whales. And just before the frostbite hits, we get them back, and there's some mulled wine waiting for them in the main lounge. So it's these beautiful moments that our guests really do appreciate. Luxury for me also is going where few others go. So it's that unique experience. So for example, in 22-23 summer season, there was 105,331 people who visited Antarctica on 50 different ships. So following COVID, we've come back strong in the cruising. The voyage that I did last summer was down to the Ross Sea, and here there was 8 ships in the region. So if you want exclusive, if you want to really go somewhere that nobody else goes or very, very few people go, this is one of the options that you have. So this is actually Scott's Hut, from the heroic era. And as you can see, we've pulled up there, and the guests spent the whole day. We actually spent the whole day there. It was absolutely stunning, and it's a really unique experience. Not many people get to actually do that, so that's a really a lovely thing. The remoteness, in fact, meant that on our 3-week voyage, this is the only other ship that we saw, and it happened to be Le Commandant Charcot. So that was that's always special when our ships cross paths, and we're not ships in the night but ships in the day, and that's always really special to see another one of the family when we're somewhere. So that was the only ship that we saw, so that was good. So speaking about Le Commandant Charcot, Jules spoke about the Charcot, and again, it's those unique experiences. We were the first passenger vessel to actually take people to the North Pole. So that's one of the many firsts that ship has actually done. So that's a really unique luxury product that we have for people who are looking for a little bit more, because lots of people have been to Antarctica. But like I say to my guests, you can go to Antarctica once, that's fine. But every voyage that you do to Antarctica is going to be different. It's just like saying, oh, we're going to go to Africa. There's a lot of Africa to explore, and Antarctica is the same. There's a lot of Antarctica to explore. There's a lot of the Arctic to explore. So even if they've already been to a particular destination, guaranteed we've got a different voyage that they'll see different things. As Jules mentioned, also, nature is our guide. This is basically our philosophy here at Ponant. What we do on a day-to-day basis is based around and even scheduled around what nature is doing. So whether that's the tides, whether that's the ocean, if sometimes the ocean can be a bit fickle, and also what the wildlife is doing. If we want to see birds, well, we don't go out in the middle of the day. We go out early. If we want to see the crocodiles, we go out when it's low tide. So we tailor our voyages to fit in with the environment, because that's how we can get the best out of the environment. And of course, the expedition team. So yes, I'm a bit biased because these are my teams. I'm responsible for recruiting and scheduling all the teams here in Asia Pacific. And basically the role of the expedition team is to give the guests a fully immersive experience. It's not a ship cruise. You don't do a ship cruise in Antarctica. You don't do a ship cruise in the Kimberley. You've got to get out there. You've got to get dirty, cold, hot, wet, all of the above, to really connect to the place that you're visiting. Otherwise, you might as well just watch a documentary. And that's what the expedition team do. They bring their knowledge, their passion, their motivation to really share their knowledge and their experience in these places. And really what they do is they bring the voyage to life for the guests. So that's the big difference between a ship cruise and an expedition cruise. Is in the yachting ship cruise, it's from port to port, shall we say. An expedition, well, we just go out into the wilderness and take you on an adventure. So whether it's on the Zodiacs, this is exploring the Ross Ice Shelf. This is deep south into the Ross Sea, and so from that to going and looking at some sweet little crocodiles. That's what the team's there for, is to get you up close and personal. Not too close, obviously, to these guys, with the wildlife, and just squeeze every last ounce out of the experience. So on shore, same thing. On shore, we are accompanying the guests. We're taking them on hikes, whether it be looking at Aboriginal rock art, whether it be crossing Campbell Island, like you can see here, to go and see royal albatrosses. The team is there every step of the way. So we're there for their safety as well as the guiding and ensuring that our guests get the most out of their voyage. So basically that's the expedition. And what I'll finish with is just a couple of destination focus. I've limited it to 3. I could have extended it to quite a few more, but I've decided to keep it at home, so close to home, which for a lot of people are still quite happy to explore around home and not necessarily go to the other side of the world. So this is a little focus on some home-based destinations. So I'll talk about Antarctica, the subantarctics, and the Kimberley. So I'll just go through these. So starting with the Kimberley, because we've just finished our Kimberley season, and basically the 5 main things that you get from a Kimberley voyage. So first of all, once again, it's that remoteness. So you can see the little zodiac here in the bottom. This is a gorgeous spot called Swift Bay. And from here, we just pull up the zodiac, disembark, and go and look at beautiful rock art. So the rocks are a really important part of the Kimberley. And even though people think, oh, it's just rocks, I swear by the end of a Kimberley voyage, everyone's an amateur geologist. You just learn so much as you're going through here. And then there's the tides. Well, the Kimberley is driven by tides. That's what has created this beautiful area. And we take the guests out to explore this. It becomes it is an integral part of the voyage. So whether it be Talbot Bay here, so the horizontal falls, or Montgomery Reef. So Montgomery Reef, again, the only way you can see that beautiful structure is by going out by sea or getting a helicopter, but it's a really long way. So seeing it by Zodiac is a wonderful experience. The wildlife in the Kimberley can sometimes be quite subtle, and other times it can be quite in your face, really. So this is the Lacepede Islands, which is all about the birds, lots and lots and lots of birds. And if you go at the right time, then you've got the humpback whales as well. So that's always really special when you have humpback whales, females with their babies and males that are chasing the females. It all gets quite exciting out there. And of course, our connection to country as well. So rock art is a really important part of a Kimberley voyage, in my opinion. We get to see artwork which is tens of thousands of years old. It's something that is unique to the Kimberley, and a really important part of a voyage through that area. And of course, the connection to country directly through our traditional owners. And that's something that we really do focus on. We've been working with the traditional owners for many, many years. And that is a really special way to get to view and experience this part of the country. So then moving on to the subantarctic islands. So these are the islands basically between New Zealand and Antarctica, and most of them belong to New Zealand, but one of them is Australian, and it is an absolutely stunning voyage. This is one of my favorites. It does get a bit wild and woolly, but it is so worth it. It is absolutely gorgeous. So you've got Campbell Island, which has got the mega herbs, which are these beautiful meadows of flowers. So these ones are about 1 meter tall, so it's like you're walking into Jurassic Park or something. You've got absolutely stunning scenery. And what I love about the subantarctics, because my background is biology, is that you've got endemic animals at every turn. So every island that we visit has their own species that you will not see anywhere else in the world. This is Macquarie Island. These are royal penguins. This is the only place on the planet you will see these little penguins. So that in itself it's really special, and it's exciting. So the rugged scenery in the subantarctics, it just literally takes your breath away. It's this is on one side of Enderby Island, and when it's blowing a westerly, you actually physically can't stand up. It's a lot of fun. So once again, we really get our guests immersed in this beautiful environment. And then to finish, well, we'll finish with Antarctica, because we're a couple of months, we're approaching the Antarctic season. Everyone's getting ready for a busy Antarctic season, and the White Continent, like I said before, it's you might have been there once or even twice, but it doesn't matter how many times you go, you always find something wonderful and different and unique that you didn't see before. So whether it be the wildlife, so penguins, obviously, penguins everywhere, and I don't care what anyone says, it doesn't matter how many penguins you see, it's always exciting, it's always fun. They are so endearing, and obviously they're sort of the emblem of Antarctica. So along with seals, so this is a very lazy crab eater seal. Once again, the Zodiacs, the team, the expedition team, take the guests out, so not necessarily being able to do a landing because there's too much wildlife, and obviously our first concern is the wildlife. So the last thing we want to be doing is impacting negatively on these environments. We're there to enjoy, we're there to learn, but we do not want to have an impact. So that's where the Zodiacs come in. We can do a Zodiac cruise along a beach, not disturb any of the wildlife, but get to see it nice and close as well. Sometimes a bit too close, and if the wind's blowing in the wrong direction, it can be interesting. And also the history. So with the Ross Sea, for example, you've got the heroic era, and you've got Scott and Shackleton and Mawson and all of that heroic era, and that history, the maritime history, all of that, which is a little bit different to what you have on the peninsula. So that's another element that we add onto this particular voyage. So I will leave it there, because otherwise I could go on for hours and hours talking about penguins. But if you have any questions about any of these destinations, you can ask myself or Jules. Happy to help. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Sandrine. That was wonderful. I think we could listen to you talk for another hour. Not to speak for myself, I'm sure. That's fantastic. Your knowledge. How long have you been with Ponant for?
I've been with the company for 9 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and you said the main regions you go, like the Kimberley, Antarctica. Do you do all the regions?
So I do all of the Asia Pacific. So that goes from Borneo, Japan, Indonesia, Melanesia, down to New Zealand, Australia, and down to Antarctica, and around the other side as well. I do the peninsula as well, but Asia Pacific's quite big. So
it is. That's a lot of knowledge stored up there, I'm sure, your fountain of information.
I've been doing it for a while now, but just don't ask me what my favorite one is. That's a hard one.
Definitely. I know, Jules, did you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to say the whole purpose of Ponant is to showcase this beautiful planet that we live on, and do it respectfully and without any impact. So that's why we've continued to expand our fleet, but always remain with small numbers. So the newest ships in our fleet are getting smaller rather than larger, which is really nice, so that our clients receive a really boutique experience, but an authentic experience. And we are the champions of blending authentic expedition experiences with luxury. So as Sandrine said, when you're in Antarctica or down on Macquarie Island, you'll get penguin poo on your boots, and you'll get mud, and then you'll come back onto the ship, clean all that off, get them all disinfected, and then you'll enjoy a lovely glass of Veuve Clicquot, or perhaps a nice glass of mulled wine, and you're welcomed back onto the ship, and that's, you're welcomed back with that luxury. There is opportunities to do hiking if you like walking. I've just come back from Greenland, and every day we would have the opportunity to do you could choose your length of hike depending on how you're feeling that day, and also your fitness ability. So you could choose a 1 kilometer hike, or a 3 kilometer hike, or a 10 kilometer hike, and then you would go off with the expedition team to have these opportunities. Alternatively, you could just stay at the landing site, and the expedition team are there to showcase what is interesting at the landing site. So it gives guests different opportunities to explore in different ways. But the lovely part about Ponant is that all of your meals are included in a choice of restaurants, and there's 3 lounges where you can relax and meet your fellow travelers and swap stories for the day, because you've all pretty much had similar experiences because you're moving to the same destination. And the lovely part about being on board and going into the lounges is that it's an open bar, so the drinks are included. You don't need to pay any extra. So whether you're ordering a cappuccino or a mocktail or a gin and tonic or a glass of French champagne, it's included and it's part of your cruise fare. Pardon me. The last thing I wanted to end with is just to let you know that there is a special available because it is Clear Cruise Month this month. So we do have a great offer for the Kimberley. When you're looking at our Kimberley voyages on our website for 2024, the prices that you see now include the return airfares. So if you live in Sydney, for example, then we will fly you into Darwin or out of Broome or vice versa, depending on which itinerary you're choosing. So that's good to know that the airfares are now included as a special. That'll run until probably the end of November if we haven't sold out beforehand. If you wanted to go a little bit further afield, the same offer is also available for Japan. So if you wanted to explore Japan for 2024, there is a selection of 7 voyages where the airfares are now included. So speak to the team at Cruise Express and they'll certainly help you navigate through these great offers that are available with Ponant during Clear Cruise campaign.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for all
And Japan is awesome as an expedition because we've just started this year Japan as an expedition destination rather than just the yachting as was traditionally done. So it was absolutely amazing. So I'll be back in April on board in Japan to do from Otaru to Osaka. So it's absolutely good. Really lovely way to see Japan because we get to go to places where once again no one goes there. There's little villages. There was like 100 people. It was just gorgeous. It was really, really lovely. Really very, very authentic.
Thank you for pointing that out, actually, that you've just started doing that as an expedition. Can you explain the difference? Like, what's the difference between doing a standard Ponant cruise to Japan and an expedition cruise to Japan?
So traditionally, like all of our yachting cruises is the ship will go from port to port, sailing through the night generally and arrive in the morning. And then the guests disembark and they have a choice of activities to do on shore. And those ones will be paying activities. So people will sign up for those and there'll be different options, different durations, different things that are included and therefore different prices. Whereas when we're on expedition, apart from a couple of things like a helicopter tour at the Mitchell Falls in the Kimberley or something, everything else that you do is included. So whether you want to do the activity or you don't want to do the activity, that's fine. But there's nothing to plan. You don't have to book it. You don't have to go paying extra for it. All of these activities are included. So like in Japan, we went to this little village and the only way we could get there was with the Zodiacs because it was a tiny little fishing village. There was no way that we could get the ship in there. So we anchored off and took the Zodiacs and dropped the guests off, and we did a walking tour of the township. The town basically had these open houses and there was gorgeous floral arrangement demonstration. There was tastings. There was basically the town opened up its doors and welcomed us in. And
that's really the distinct difference between a yacht cruise and an expedition. Is an expedition we go more remote and we don't need infrastructure. So we don't need infrastructure because we have our own team of expedition guides. We have our Zodiacs to allow us to go to more remote areas and we can land virtually anywhere. So whether it is a frozen ice area or whether it is a deserted beach or an island, we have that available. And then we have the expertise that we bring with us with our expedition guides. And something that Sandrine mentioned is really important is in Japan and other destinations throughout the world where there's small villages, we learn the cultures and respect the peoples. And something that Ponant does really well is that we invite the villagers onto our ship. So we go into their world, see how they live, and then we'll invite them to come on board. I recently went to, when I was in the Greenland expedition, some of the kids came on board and they loved the swimming pool because it was heated, but they loved going up and down on the elevators because they don't have elevators in their village of 200 people. So the children were just in the elevators all afternoon, just pressing the buttons, going up and down. That was fascinating for us, just as fascinating as learning how they live. So that's probably the biggest distinction between expedition and yacht. Is expedition's more remote. We don't need infrastructure. We take our own with us. Would you agree, Sandrine?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's being able to have those experiences that you would otherwise have difficulty doing on your own. Accessing these places, for starters, when we arrive by sea, we've got a very unique way of accessing the land. And Japan is a really good example of that. That yes, there's some very big ports, but what we do, we obviously have to sort of start and finish in the big ports. But in between, you get to go to some really unique destinations, such as Japan, because we have our Japan expedition leader and business manager Rio, who has curated these absolutely gorgeous itineraries that showcase the real Japan. It's not what we see on television. It's really that authentic, the small villages. We had the kids, a little bit like you had, Jules, is the kids get very, very excited. They see this big ship arriving, and a lot of these kids, they don't leave the village very much. They live in these little isolated parts of Japan, and we had the whole school. They had the day off school to come and see us. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful cultural exchange. Even though I only speak 4 words of Japanese, it's amazing how you can communicate with people with sign language and a smile. So that's a really lovely, it's a really lovely experience to have, rather than just the big city.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask?
I'm just thinking, wow, it all sounds so amazing. I don't think life's long enough to fit all this stuff in. But hey, Sandrine, I was wondering about what's the wildlife? What sort of things do you see on that Japan trip? So
the Japan trip, there's a few different ones. So some of them are more subtropical. So the water's a little bit warmer, and I think there's 1 or 2 where you can go snorkeling, but I feel the cold, so I do like tropical waters for snorkeling in. There's certainly bird life. We'll see bird life, but it's the focus is not so much wildlife. I mean, obviously you'll see some dolphins and things like that, but the focus is very much landscapes and culture as opposed to the wildlife.
Yeah, and I like the sound of those sort of the more out of the way places. And the great thing, Jules, too, is having locals hop on board. That's quite an experience for them. Really good to see that you do that. So yeah,
it's all part of the sustainable tourism. It's not just an environmental sustainability, but a cultural sustainability as well, which we work with the local group. So when we're in Papua New Guinea, we've got one of the ships is in Papua New Guinea. We work directly with the people in the villages that we're going to see. We can see the benefit that last year's visit, when we were there, the money that they received from us, from the passengers, obviously paying through their fares, have built things like a communal kitchen, or expanded something in the village that everyone can benefit from. So and we can actually see that as we go back year after year.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that you're giving back and not leaving a huge footprint. And I guess that was the other thing that you know, just little things like having the desalination plant and having the water supplied in bottles that you guys refill all the time. You know, I mean, those sort of things, those that make you feel a lot more comfortable with the travel. So that's a big tick, you know, for you guys. So yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Lots to think about. Ooh, how exciting.
Well, talk to the team at Cruise Express. They are the experts, and they will certainly curate a perfect holiday for you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, well,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Jules.
No worries. Thank you, Sandrine.
All right. Thanks for getting it together.
See you all soon.
Okay.
Bye.
We will
Bye.
send it on. We're recording it, so we'll send you the link and some more information shortly.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye.